I think that whatever the situation is regarding Seth and this injury, non-injury, whatever you want, whatever reports you're listening to, I don't think he's going to address it. I think he is going to do his best to stay out of addressing it and leave it as a big nebulous affair.
I feel like he's going to have to address something because they've addressed something. It could just be as simple as we don't have information yet. And that's still addressing it. Like,
yes.
Who knows? But he's going to be there in crutches, allegedly. He was there in crutches at Evolution. So he's probably going to be showing up with crutches. And that's kind of an elephant in the room of like, hey, Seth, why's your knee bandaged up and crutches? Every time he does these interviews or appearances, he's very forthright in what he says. So maybe he's not going to go into full detail because they're protecting a storyline, or maybe you will say like, yeah, I'm out for 10 months.
There's a sentiment out there when it comes to this injury talk story. And again, we can only go by what we've been told, and we can only discuss what others have said on their shows and their reporting. The idea here from a storyline context is that there might be a legitimate injury, but it's not as bad as they are leading us to believe. They might play it up as bigger. And then you get into the actual storyline, which is CM Punk on Monday won the gauntlet. He's going to challenge Gunther. And what was the Seth Rollins storyline throughout the entire CM Punk era that he's been back? It's that I'm going to do my best to ensure that CM Punk does not win a world championship. Well, CM Punk's going for a world championship. And after he went for the last one in Saudi Arabia, who came out and cost him the title? Well, I mean, John Cena did. But at the same time, Seth came out. This time you can do the cash in at SummerSlam. He wins the title, and it's a bigger shock because it's a bigger cash in than the one he did at WrestleMania 31, and it's the big deal, and it's the big cash in, and he came back so fast even though he said he was injured and blah blah blah. That's kind of there's not a prevailing sentiment, but that is a very common one that's going around there. And honestly, I kind of subscribe closer to that one than anything else. Do I believe he's injured in some way? Sure. I think all these wrestlers are hurting all the time in some way, shape, or form. The severity is what's in question at this point. And maybe he'll say something, or maybe he won't. Someone in the chat saying have him cash in on crutches. He might just show up with the crutches and then just crack someone over the head with them. Easy as that. And let that be the story.
Yeah. I don't know how injured he is or isn't. I think if it's a storyline, depending on how they pull it off, it could be well done. If they're trying to work everybody, like, all right, you want to work the fans, you want to work the online stuff. I've never minded any of that. I don't like when they act like it's a work when it wasn't. That's very stupid. But if you are trying to legitimately work people, okay. As long as the right people are clued in, then that's what matters. Like, I think there can be a detriment to trying to work people in the back, but if it's something like an injury and not a release, obviously much better optics there of like, oh, let's try to work a release. That doesn't go too well. But if you're trying to work people with an injury, all right, like, it's part of wrestling, you know? Working people with injuries has been a long-standing tradition in wrestling. So I don't fully mind that.
You know, when someone in the chat saying Triple H said it was really bad. Well, Triple H wasn't asked about it. He did something that he typically doesn't do, and that is address the situation head on. And that is something that kind of raised the eyebrows of a lot of people who report on this stuff. The other side is, you know, are you enjoying the show? The show's really fun, huh? That's the other thing. Is I don't know why he suddenly sounds like a younger Stu Hart in my impression of him, but he just is. You get some time for that big rhino over it. Sorry. So he just could be doing are you enjoying the show? Go enjoy the show. And as for like who Seth Rollins was scheduled to face at SummerSlam, well, you can say it was Roman, but you don't know, and neither do people who were reporting on it. There's an assumption that he was, given story, but like we didn't know because we never got there. So again, if it's a work, cool. All right, sure. If this is him doing are you enjoying the show, I think it's going to lose some people's. I think some people are just going to be a little soured on it if they are reporting, you know, or if they're in the reporting game, just because it's silly to do that with injury. But if more people are let in, then it won't be. I think it softens the blow if more people are let in on what's really going on. But in the moment, the idea was he's injured.
I mean, we could ask people who we could ask Sean if he would be soured on it. I don't know. To me, like if you want to work an injury, again, I don't see an issue with it. Like it's part of wrestling. All right, work the injury to pay off CM Punk thinking he's in the clear and not going to be cashed in on, and then he gets cashed in on, and it was all a work. As long as the right people are clued in and you don't upset people that you got to work with every single day, then I don't see the big deal. I don't think WWE cares about, I mean, I know they don't really care about how the internet feels
Not at all.
about them and how the reporting goes on things. So if Sean, Mike, Dave, all these people are mad about, oh, how could they do this? How could they work? They're probably like, well, we did our jobs then. If you guys are mad about this and you guys didn't have some information on something, we did our jobs.
So yeah, I think that's a fair statement. I think the idea is using an injury and kayfabing the locker room. That's where people would be a little upset about this, and that's more internal than external. But it all plays out because the internal then goes to the external and says, "Well, we weren't told anything, and that's not fair." Or that's a shitty thing to do. That unraveled TNA at one point with Dixie and injuries. So I don't know what to expect. People in chat are saying working injuries are fine, but they got to be done properly, and I agree with that. So we'll see where it plays out. I'm of the mindset that they're working in between the lines. An injury could be real. The severity of it could be what's in question, and how that plays out could easily become the story of SummerSlam and what happens between Gunther and CM Punk in the main event.